Hey, what's up? Today we're gonna be doing koozies. I'm gonna be making 2 blacks and 2 whites. Okay, so you're looking at the final product right here. I did use some vinyl for one of them. I used sublimation for the other, and I used a different sort of heat transfer material for the other two. It's very similar to sublimation, but it's a little bit different. So let's get on with it. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and jump on a rig. We're gonna open Cricut because we do need Cricut for 3 out of the 4 koozies that we're doing. So we're gonna go ahead and add this image to canvas. This image has been saved already as an SVG file. It's separated 3 colors, which is black, orange, and white. If you need help on how to save an image into SVG and separate it into different colors, then I'm gonna go ahead and make a video later on about it. Now we're just going to go ahead and resize the image so we could get it to the size that we need it. Normally I go anywhere from 2.5 to 3 inches on this, and on the right side you could see the different colors being separated already here on canvas. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and make the cut, and it's going to cut just 2 colors. I don't need the black since it's going on the black koozie, so we're going to just go ahead and send it to the Cricut and then cut them up. For material, I usually select the heat transfer non-Cricut, and I put more pressure on it, and also make sure that you mirror the image. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and grab the white vinyl. We're gonna set on the Cricut mat, and I am using a strong grip Cricut mat because it's been used so much. It's almost like a light grip one, so it's not a big of a deal. It'll hold well, and I actually use tape on it just to make sure that it doesn't be sliding around. Alright, next step is simple. Just go ahead and put the mat into the Cricut and just let it do its thing, and then just wait for it to finish. Now go ahead and add the orange vinyl to the mat and go ahead and let the Cricut do its thing, and then you could be weeding the white vinyl while the Cricut cuts the orange vinyl. So for the vinyl, you do have to weed out the parts that you don't need, and that's why I believe sublimation is the easiest one to work with. Now, easiest doesn't mean the best, but it is the easiest. So the hardest part about transferring this vinyl, it's gonna be weeding out and not weeding the letters on the bottom of Pintito. They're very small and they're really hard to keep on there. Okay, once you're done weeding out everything, this is how it's gonna look whenever you put them all together. It looks pretty nice. These are the other 2 materials we're going to be using besides vinyl and sublimation. So these materials, even though they're very similar, you don't apply them the same way as each other. The white one, it's going to work more like sublimation. We have to mirror the image, and then it heats on the paper onto the material, not just the ink, but the actual paper. And then the other one, we don't have to mirror. You actually have to peel off the paper and then put it on top of whatever material you're going to be using to heat it onto. And the printer I'm using for my regular ink, it's the Epson ET 15000. I just got it 2 days ago, to be honest. I exchanged my Epson 2850 that I have been using for about 8 months because it started acting up. So now I'm using this one, and I had to pay a little bit more for this one. This material is very similar to vinyl because you do have to weed off the excess parts of the cut. So we're going to run it through the Cricut machine just like vinyl. We're going to peel it just like vinyl. The only difference is that this one to peel is actually a little bit harder, especially for the, it's not harder when it's a big image like the tiger. It is harder for the smaller print under Pintito. So for this example, I'm just gonna exclude those words. I'm not gonna put it on. It's too much work for just a tutorial video. Here you can see the process of peeling the excess paper off. It's very simple. It's not too hard. It starts getting very complicated once you start getting to those smaller letters that I was talking about. So we're gonna go ahead and skip those and go on to the next step. This is the other paper, the heat transfer paper. This is the one for dark material, and this one, instead of peeling the background or the excess paper, you actually peel off the actual image that you want put onto the koozie. So I didn't record the printing of the sublimation, but it's simple. Just put the paper on it. You have to have a specific printer that uses sublimation ink, and that's it. It'll print onto that sublimation paper that you buy with the sublimation ink, and then you just heat it on. Okay, just like anything else, you go ahead and preheat whatever you're gonna heat transfer, and in this case it's a koozie. Okay, so we're gonna do only 3 koozies at a time because the sublimation requires more time and more heat. So we're gonna do the vinyl and the 2 heat transfer papers. So for some of these, you're gonna want to use heat resistant tape just to make sure they don't move whenever you're lowering the press. So the heat for this one, what I've seen that works for me is 325 Fahrenheit at 12 seconds. So that usually works perfect for me when it comes to transferring vinyl or these heat transfer papers. Okay, so even though I fast forwarded it here at like 5 times the speed, you could tell that with this specific paper, heat transfer paper, it is a pain in the ass whenever you're doing letters or stuff like that or multiple words, because you have to peel them off and then align them properly towards the surface of your material, which is the koozies. So yeah, it takes quite a bit of time. That's why I don't recommend this one as much as I do the vinyl or the sublimation. We are finally done with that, so let's go ahead and put the protective paper on top and heat them on and see how they turned out. Okay, so 2 of them are done, and we still need to put the orange from the vinyl, and then we need to do the sublimation koozie. So we're just gonna wait until the end of the video to see the results. For the heat transfer vinyl, I like to do smaller pieces first and the larger ones at the end, because the larger ones still have that transparent paper on them, and it still protects the smaller prints from going into direct contact with the press and stuff like that. Cool, so we're done with the vinyl. It looks amazing. I love vinyl. Anyway, now it's time for sublimation, and then we'll see the final results. So while the heat press gets even hotter, because I put it at 395 degrees Fahrenheit at 55 seconds for the sublimation, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that vinyl piece. It looks amazing. It's a beautiful. I like the colors on them a lot. So all right, let's get this done, and then let's check all 4 of them at the same time. Okay, so top left is vinyl, top right is the heat transfer paper, bottom right is the heat transfer paper, and bottom left is the sublimation. Now I know sublimation, I forgot to mirror the image, so the image is backwards, but it'll still work for just this tutorial video, so you guys can see the difference between all of them. And yeah. Okay, now it's time to choose my favorite. My favorite is the vinyl, top left. Those colors are amazing. Vinyl, it just complements the background very well with the black. The other 2, the heat transfer papers, they're okay, but you could just feel the paper on top of the koozies. It's a different material, so it doesn't feel professional. It doesn't feel like it's integrated into the actual koozie. That's the only problem with those. Sublimation, by far, it's the easiest one. You don't have to peel anything. You don't have to use a Cricut machine. You just print out, cut a square of what you want, and then you got it there. You just heat press it and it's there. The only problem that comes up with koozies is that koozies, when you heat press them for so long, they flatten out. If you can tell by this video, where we flattened the image onto the koozie with the sublimation, it's completely flat. It took all the volume off the koozie, so I wouldn't use sublimation for koozies, simply because they have to be hotter and you have to heat them for a longer period of time. Sublimation actually works great for shirts and other items, but for koozies, I just wouldn't do it. If you require to print out an image, I'd use the heat transfer papers and print them out that way. If you could do like a logo or something, I'd go with vinyl. Let me know what you think, which one's better for what. Obviously, it's going to depend for what material you're going to be using. And well, that was it. Hope you liked the video and learned something from it. Thank you very much.